Hey class, welcome back. We are still talking about World War One, and today we're talking about the sinking of the Lusitania. The Lusitania was a cruise ship, much like the Titanic that we talked about just a few weeks ago. Uh, and Germany had put out a advertisement, New York newspapers had told everybody, "Hey, this is a war zone. Anything that comes through here, we are going to attack." But 1,100 and something people got on the boat anyway, and that was sunk by a German U-boat, which was a submarine. Their submarine, and it was a torpedo was shot at it. So this is what we're talking about, though: the sinking of the Lusitania, and it had some major consequences or major implications on the war because eventually, because of this happening, the Americans joined the war. So and it turned the tide when they joined to the Allies whenever they joined the war. So, but this is what we're talking about today, and sinking of the Lusitania. All right, galvanizing support. The sinking of the Lusitania was an important event in World War One. Like I said, there's a lot of innocent people that got killed at the hands of the Germans when they attacked this ship, and it galvanized American support, and it turned the tide when the Americans finally joined the war.
Galvanizing support. The sinking of the Lusitania was an important event in World War I. The death of so many innocent civilians at the hands of the Germans galvanized American support for entering the war, which eventually turned the tide in favor of the Allies.
All right, so like I said, the Lusitania was a British luxury cruise ship, and at one point in 1907, it was the largest ship in the world before the Titanic was built. All right, and we know what happened to the Titanic. Titanic sank, but anyway, it mostly traveled across the Atlantic Ocean from Britain to the United States, carrying passengers and cargo. 787 feet long, 3,048 passengers and crew it could carry. It was a British luxury cruise ship.
What was the Lusitania? The Lusitania was a British luxury cruise ship. At one point in 1907, it held the title as the largest ship in the world. It mostly traveled across the Atlantic Ocean between Britain and the United States, carrying passengers and cargo. The ship was 787 feet long and could carry 3,048 passengers and crew.
All right, so leading up to the attack, World War One had begun in 1914. This was in 1915. On the Western Front, British and French, they were fighting each other. They were advancing against advancing Germans, and new supplies for the war effort were being transported using shipping lanes. Well, the Germans were trying to cut off these shipping lanes at first. They wanted to gain control of them, but the British Navy managed to stop their navy, keep them in check. That was until they started using these subs or submarines.
Leading up to the attack, World War I had begun in 1914. On the Western Front, the British and the French were fighting against the advancing Germans. New supplies for the war effort were transported using shipping lanes around Britain. At first, the Germans tried to gain control of the shipping lanes using their navy, but the British managed to keep the German navy in check.
All right. So the situation in the waters around Britain, it changed. Germans began to use these submarines to attack ships. These are called U-boats, or we're called undersea boats, all right, or undersea boats, or short U-boats for short. So on February 4th, 1915, the Germans declared, hey, the seas around Britain is a war zone. And they said, hey, we're going to attack any ship, any Allied ship that enters this region, we're going to attack it. And they did.
Leading up to the attack continued. The situation in waters around Britain changed as Germans began to use submarines to attack ships. They called their submarines undersea boats or undersea boats. This name was shortened to U-boats. On February 4th, 1915, the Germans declared the seas around Britain a war zone and said they would attack any Allied ship that entered the region.
All right. The Lusitania departs. So despite this German warning, the Lusitania departed from New York on May the 1st, 1915. Here goes Lusitania departing. There's Lusitania. All right. And it was on its way to Liverpool, England. The German embassy even took out an advertisement in many of the U.S. papers warning, hey, if this boat or if this ship comes into the British waters, it may be attacked by our boats. But people didn't listen, or a lot of people didn't listen anyway, because 1,959 people boarded that ship. All right, and there was 159 Americans. So they tried to warn them. They tried to warn them, hey, if you come in these waters, you may be attacked. By taking out an advertisement.
The Lusitania departs. Despite the German warning, the Lusitania departed from New York on May the 1st, 1915, on its way to Liverpool, England. The German embassy took out an advertisement in many of the U.S. papers warning people that the ship may be attacked when it entered British waters. It seems that many people didn't really believe that the Germans would attack a luxury cruise ship because 1,959 people boarded the ship, including 159 Americans.
All right. On May the 7th, 1915, the Lusitania was approaching the coast of Ireland. All right. The coast of Ireland here. They were around here. All right. And the voyage was almost over, but it had reached a dangerous point, and it was spotted by a German U-boat. All right. The U-boat moved into attack, and it fired a torpedo. Right here's a torpedo, everybody. All right. Fired a torpedo. And the lookout on Lusitania, he saw it. He saw the wake of the torpedo coming, but it was too late. All right. It made a direct hit on the side of the ship, and it was this big explosion, and it was all felt throughout the ship.
The Germans attack. On May 7th, 1915, the Lusitania was approaching the coast of Ireland. The voyage was almost over, but it had reached its most dangerous point. It was soon spotted by the German U-boat U-20. The U-boat moved in to attack and fired a torpedo. A lookout on the Lusitania spotted the wake of the torpedo, but it was too late. The torpedo made a direct hit on the side of the ship, and a huge explosion was felt throughout the ship.
All right. So the Lusitania sinks. It immediately began to sink, and this is Captain William Turner, this man right here. All right. He tried to get the ship. He was wanting to get it to the coast of Ireland. All right. But it was sinking so fast, within a few minutes, he had to give the order to abandon the ship. And a lot of people had trouble getting off the ship because it was starting to tilt. It was starting to tilt, just like it did with the Titanic when we went over that. All right. Within 20 minutes of being struck by that torpedo, the Lusitania had sunk. Like I said, there were 1,959 people on board. Only 761 survived. 1,198 were killed.
The Lusitania sinks. The Lusitania immediately began to sink. The captain of the Lusitania, Captain William Turner, ordered that the ship head for the Irish coast, but it was no use. Within a few minutes, the captain gave the order to abandon ship. Many people had difficulty in getting off the ship because it was so tilted. It was tilted so far to the side and sinking so fast. Within 20 minutes of being struck, the Lusitania had sunk. Of the 1,959 people on board, only 761 survived, and 1,198 were killed.
All right. So the results, the killing of so many innocent people by this German U-boat, people got in an outrage. All right. They were upset. They were mad about it. All right. In many countries of the world, including the United States. So support for the Allies against the Germans, it grew. It got bigger and bigger. The United States, who later joined the Allies in the war against Germany, it was also a point where they started saying, okay, we may have to join this war, and eventually they did join the war. It was 2 years later, but eventually they joined the war, and that was one of the, I guess, the things that made them join the war.
Results. The killing of so many innocent people by the German U-boat caused outrage in many countries in the world. Support for the Allies against Germany grew in many countries, including the United States, who later joined the Allies in the war against Germany.
All right. What was the Lusitania? What was it? Was it A, a cruise ship, B, a U-boat, or C, a tank? It was a cruise ship, just like the Titanic. It was a British cruise ship.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
Number two, what country sunk the Lusitania as part of World War I? A, Italy, B, England, or C, Germany? The answer is C, Germany. Germany used its U-boats to sink it with a torpedo.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
Number 3, what was a U-boat? A, a cruise ship, B, a German submarine, or C, a boat shaped like a U? It was B, a German submarine. That's what a U-boat is.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
Number 4, how many people died from the attack? There were lots of people. There were 1,959 on board. All right, only 761 survived. So how many people died from the attack? A, 50, B, 500, or C, 1,198. There were 1,198 people that died from the attack.
Ding,
Did
ding,
not
ding.
get off the ship
We
in
have a
time.
winner.
Number 5, what country joined the war after the sinking? It was a big catalyst. It made people mad. They joined the war a couple years later. A, Italy, B, the United States, or C, England. It was B, the United States joined in 1917. And this was one of the catalysts for it. It was one of the things that got them moving forward, saying, hey, we might need to join this war. The United States.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
All right, class, that is all for today. We'll be back next time with more World War I stuff. And I will see you all then. You all have a good day.